Hello, everyone. So today I'm speaking with Christian Rebernik. Did I pronounce this correctly?
Correctly, yes.
Okay. He is the CEO and co-founder of Tomorrow University. So welcome, Christian.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here.
Great. So today we're going to talk a bit about Tomorrow's University story, how you guys started, how where you are today, and how any challenges you overcame along the way. So for anyone who doesn't know your organization, could you give us a bit of context as to what you offer? Who are the typical student profile? If you work with any companies as partners?
Yeah, thank you again, Akis. I'm really pleased to be here and tell you a little bit more about Tomorrow's University. So we're building a next generation university for the ones who want to change the world. So our mission is to educate, empower the change makers, and for them we provide degrees in sustainability, entrepreneurship, and technology. And I'm talking about degrees, it's bachelor and master degrees, but we also offer impact certificates for lifelong learning so that you constantly can develop yourself. What we provide is, on the one hand side, a remote first program where you can learn flexibly, which fits often to people who work as well or travel the world or have some other responsibilities in their whole life. On the one hand side, then we help them to grow and learn in a very effective way. We believe that actually technology can help us all to learn more effective and also doing that with modern pedagogy when it comes to challenge-based learning based on your competences. And where we guide you and provide you information with bite-sized lessons to accomplish and manage those challenges. And a key part is also the global community you will tap into, because everybody who studies with us, they really want to change something, they want to improve. So you will connect with people in our learning community from around the world that way.
Okay. And who would be the typical student profiles, unless if you have more than one?
Yeah, it depends, as mentioned, a little bit between the bachelor and master program or also the impact certificates. Typical students would be like 20 year from an age perspective plus. Master would be older in that regard. And people typically which want to improve and build a tool set for their whole life to be successful. But we also address, for example, in the master degree program, people want to maybe switch their careers from what they do today to something more meaningful from their perspective. We have a lot of students also who want to become entrepreneurs. So they're building up actually the experience and the community and network around actually to start, for example, a green tech, clean tech, or another initiative, another project from their perspective. And then we have a lot of people also who just want to improve their career and double down on what they do today and just be more successful in that perspective. So Tomorrow University is truly for impactful careers.
Okay, that makes sense. And now, obviously, you are entering a space where, from a university competitor point of view, there are millions of alternatives and projects and programs that are offered by very established players as well as new players. So, what sort of like growth challenges have you come across? And if you could share a story of something that was maybe difficult in the beginning, but then changed completely your course.
So how we start was literally about what actually is important for our future, not just for my future, but all our future together. What kind of education do we need? And we live in a world where we have knowledge available at our fingertips. It's sheer knowledge doesn't make a difference. So just knowledge more about doesn't matter if it's now sustainability energy is not enough. And the same is true. What we believe is about the kind of companies we need, the kind of careers we have. They are changing. Yeah. And we want to cater those needs. Yeah. So that's the reason why we early identified actually that we want to focus on sustainability, technology, and entrepreneurship from the one hand side, but also on the aspect of how we learn. Yeah. The challenge based is for us really something where we say, hey, there's the meaning, the task is at the center, and then our role is more actually help you to build that. And on our journey from this perspective, this is not something which we see is like this the standard. Many people just want to have a degree for the sake of the degree. Yeah. So if you look for that, we really think that we need some difference. We need to be different, but also we need to serve different. And there's a lot of education, literally, we need to do ourselves on that part to explain what modern pedagogy, what modern learning actually is about. And for us, it is a big challenge on, literally spreading the word, getting the word out about this, and explain the questions maybe students have on that regard. So when it comes to our last 2 years, we started out first with working together with an existing well-established institution, the Vienna University of Business and Economics. And we're very excited actually they joined on our master degree program. But also we said, hey, we want to take this further and actually offer more programs. And for that, we set ourselves a very big goal is to become a state recognized university ourselves. And this was quite a journey because looking at in Germany, how many universities are recognized, there haven't been many. It's a very rare situation actually. And if you look who is evaluating those kind of players, it's a very established system, also of very experienced academics looking at those. And we as a young tech coming out of nowhere, not with decades, centuries of experience. One of the biggest challenges definitely was actually to convince also the government, so the ministry, but also the Science Council, to explain why this is so important what we do, why we need to rethink sometimes about the way how we learn, why we need to provide the flexibility, and why online learning could actually be a way to improve learning. And this was quite a journey, not just on paper, but in many regarding the aspects. And it was for us last year was a big year when we finally in August last year became the positive feedback on our accreditation process. And with that actually it became a state recognized university and can also provide accredited degrees. So when it comes from that we are now the first EdTech also to be it as a state recognized university. And this is really important because we want to provide our learners also with the credibility with what they do. So they can at the end have this kind of impact for careers. They can do a bachelor with us and do a master's on theirs. And this was a quite big thing for us.
It sounds big because as far as I know in the US accreditation is not necessarily simpler, but it's much more widespread. Lots of organizations, independent organizations are going and requesting an accreditation and they're getting it. In Europe it's much more challenging because it's much more it's much more European. Let's just say the process is longer, slower. Yes. So kudos on that. So, and now I understand. So you operate in what we could call a sustainability-related education. So even though your degrees are not about purely like scientific, you have a sustainability approach to what you teach. So what is this space? Is this a space? Are you pioneers in this space? Do you see other organizations that are kind of like have the same approach as you, or at least some sort of overlap?
I believe, as you also have experience with the World Economic Forums, they shared a nice report about what skills are actually relevant in the 21st century. And they are different from the past. It's not about being this one discipline and it's enough to be a perfect engineer, but it's way more also about collaboration, communication. Why? Because many of the things you do are quite complex and we need to work together from that perspective. And we believe that sustainability, but also technology, is actually not just a separate discipline, but actually everybody of us need to have a fundamental understanding of sustainability. Need to learn about how this impacts eventually their business. And that's the reason why we take an interdisciplinary approach, where sustainability is not a master in itself, but it's a part of every program we do. So that's the reason why for example, the bachelor in business is called Bachelor in Responsible Entrepreneurship, because it's just a different way on doing entrepreneurship than a different way on doing business. Knowing about the consequences of my decisions, being aware of how circular economy works and what are the benefits actually of this, how we can create financial models which are also sustainable and not just benefit the profits, but also have sustainability integrated. And with that, actually not seeing sustainability for a business as a threat, but actually embracing it and seeing that more as a unique opportunity to create new business types. And the same is true, for example, for computer science, where we offer a degree in artificial intelligence. They believe as well, it's not just about, hey, I can have enough and endless resources of energy, but thinking about, okay, what does it mean? Or when we talk about also ethics and AI, it's a quite complex topic, and understanding actually the consequences of what we do, just leveraging AI and the data which the AI is trained on. Yeah? So this is what we also understand and take sustainability a little bit broader from that perspective and integrate it in any of our existing programs, but also future programs is a really integral part actually of the future of education.
Okay, so based on what you're saying, you're probably going to see to launch various other programs which are not necessarily related to the ones that you've launched today. So would these be like more on a tech field or other fields?
Yeah, all our programs. So our literally our why, our purpose is to accelerate transition to sustainable society. We believe that's necessary. And for that, we believe that the ones who are empowered to actually learn the relevant skills will also be the ones who change the future. So that's what we contribute to, is really creating this kind of as many as people actually and help them to learn the relevant competences, help them to build the relevant network, but also help them to identify their purpose and what they want to change, and with that have the impact. And this, now we start with business and computer science as fields, but this could go into other fields as well. And you will see this also in the future, that we extend our programs to other fields. It doesn't matter if it's not more law or finance or
Yeah.
other areas. Yeah, it's totally open. For us, it's always about sustainability built into those programs.
That makes sense. And then in terms of the opportunities for innovating on the how you do it. So the why, I understand the story and it makes perfect sense, and I understand why would people be attracted to this. Also, with your accreditation, it makes sense. They have a different weight, let's say. But on the how, so you are a remote first educational organization. So what are your thoughts about the innovative educational practices, techniques, tactics, technologies that you can use for achieving your mission?
So I studied economics myself, and I was going to class, listening to a teacher giving a lecture for 1 hour. I was counting the minutes until the lecture was over, because I knew once I go home, I need to study for the next exam. Learn things by heart so that I can repeat them at the exam. After that one, I did forget most of it. I thought
Yeah. Same
that's
here.
not the purpose of education, you know.
Same
So
here.
that's the reason why. But it's not that we learn not relevant things. That those things are actually relevant and can help you throughout your life, but it's just the wrong way. And that's the reason why we thought about, okay, um, how is the best way actually to change how we learn? And we believe that online is a great way to do this. Why? Because we have technology to establish processes and optimize the system actually for the learner, not for any academics. So you don't need to come to the academic, but more or less the academics, the program need to come to you. And this kind of student centricity belief is really important. And instead of telling you, here's the information, we tell you, here's a problem, figure it out. And then we see also the role of the educators changing to more somebody on the one hand side curate the challenges, provide the relevant information pieces for the challenges, but you need to go through that, and then we help you also to learn the relevant information. It doesn't matter if it's mathematics or technology or business, finances, and then we give you this information, and you learn the theory about it, but then you can directly apply and pick what is most important for you to actually manage the challenge. And in our program, you're going through different milestones. So every of the challenge, you can more or less see like a project. Yeah, you go through the different milestones, and you need to complete milestones, and you get feedback on your competence of your milestones as well. And then at the end, you have a capstone, and that gets also graded. Yeah? Based on those challenges, your competency profile becomes more clear. Your strengths become more clear. And then you can also see where you have still potential for development. And then you reach out eventually to other learners and see, hey, what can you learn from other learners? What are the top 3 things I can learn from them from that perspective? So the whole thing becomes more social and collaborative, because learning is a joint journey. Yeah. And that's a belief we see, that learning is different from this perspective. And maybe the last part, it's about online learning. Yeah. I think online learning can be a great possibility of flexibility. We know already how we can have now a podcast here, which is really exciting. But we have different opportunities to be more flexible in our life. Yeah, I can have a family and study. I don't need to commute every day 1 hour to the university and back and take a lot of effort, but I can really focus on my learning journey. Yeah. So we believe this works really well from this perspective. What we do additionally, because I mentioned social learning is important, we have learning groups around the world in different cities, so that you actually get together, meet regularly, for learning or for have fun or with other problems
Yeah.
if you want, and combine it with your online studies from this perspective. And we believe this is really empowering many of our learners, and that's what they love about it.
Okay. So just to make sure I understand, so is it self-paced? Is it part sync, part async? How are the programs structured?
Mhm. Yeah, so challenge-based means you have a kickoff together with your cohort. Yeah, this is a group of students. You together commit on this challenge, and then you have check-ins weekly, and then there's a capstone, a final presentation, and a retrospective about what you have learned actually in this challenge. Yeah, and those sessions, there is one session which is synchronous every week. The rest of the challenge is asynchronous or based on you as a group organizing,
Yeah.
getting together and having a discussion on actually what you do with that regard. Um, the challenges, they're time bound. Yeah, so you have just very clear milestones on the one hand side, but there's a lot of freedom how you can organize to achieve the goals from this perspective. So that's the reason why it's a combination where we provide flexibility, but also have the kind of commitment that you need actually, if you study together.
Okay. And so a student would be in one challenge cohort at any given time, or would they be working in three challenge cohort areas, for example, simultaneously?
Yeah, we recommend to have one challenge at a time and focus
Okay.
on one challenge and do them more sequential. Yeah.
Okay.
So they are more intense, but on the other hand side, you can really focus on them, and eventually go also easier the extra mile than having to
Yeah.
split between different challenges. But it's possible. So there are students also which are taking more than one challenge at the same time, but the regular case is really one challenge at a time.
Okay, and now finally, now it's May 8th of May 2023. Everybody's talking about AI. AI is moving at a surreal speed with new products and new solutions coming out every week, actually. So we don't know how AI will impact education. No one knows and no one can predict it, but we have a feeling of different use cases. We can assess that potentially it might have different use cases. So in your context for this approach, which is challenge based and also focused on sustainability as a wrapper or as a base on top of which you build other knowledge and skills. So how do you see AI playing a role in what you do?
Yeah, I believe fundamentally that AI will change a lot, and it will change the education field, especially in many regards, because the competences already which are relevant are changing. Yeah, um, and we encourage and integrate also, but we encourage all our students to embrace AI for them as a tool to be more successful. It helps them to not procrastinate, but have a first draft really easily, for example, for a challenge they're working on. It helps them to summarize things, understand things, to create plans. So this is something where we also educate our students literally how to use it in a responsible way, because we know also AI is not just perfect. There are problems and flaws everywhere as well. So you need to be aware of that, and not just let yourself remote control by AI, but literally see it, be the master of it, and see it as a tool on that hand side. We use AI as a university. We try integrating into the product for tutoring, for spaced learning, giving you questions at the right point of time. We are using it for actually competence assessments. So we are using it now and out as well. And then finally, because we have also a program about AI, that's where you actually also learn about how to create your own AI. So that takes us actually a step further,
Yeah.
because we believe that now we see so many industries actually using AI. It doesn't matter if it's on music to create new things, videos, marketing. It changes many things, and we believe that also there will be the best AI, they're really focused also maybe on a certain use case. So we will see that there is way more to come. It's really still the beginning. The magic thing why AI is now so dominant is because it becomes as smart as humans, literally, and they can do tests now better than humans. But this will just grow from that perspective and get further. So we believe it's really an important part of the future of education, and it needs to be integrated fundamentally. And that's where, just looking at what I said at the beginning, knowledge being not anymore so important, it just becomes less important. And there was this nice quote also: the intelligence, just as pure intelligence, the value of intelligence is going down. Yeah, so it's really important that you are able to understand, comprehend, collaborate, communicate. You need to have those kind of competences to leverage those things, and not know things just, because that's not the key part here in the future of your career.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to help people to build, have an impactful career. That's what we believe is important.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It reminds me of, I don't remember who, but someone created the concept of a second brain. So the internet is a second brain. You don't need to know the information. The information is there, and you can just use that information. So it's a completely different paradigm of knowledge. Cool. So Christian, thank you very much for your time. If someone wants to reach out to you to learn more about Tomorrow University or just have a chat, where would they reach you?
Yeah, the best part to reach me is always via LinkedIn, or go to our website. That's always find all the information to contact us also anytime there.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you very much for the invite. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you.